Goober, say hi. So today I'm going to be ranking the Freddy Krueger films, or the Nightmare on Elm Street films, from, well, first I'm going to put them in tier boxes, and then I'll go through and stack them up and rank them from my favorite to my least favorite of the franchise. So with that said, let's dive into this, and as you can see here on Tier Maker, I have the categories are dreamy, which is the best, good, watchable, which is okay, decent, blah, which is meh, and then a horrible nightmare, which is the worst. I have all 9 movies here, including Freddy vs. Jason, because I've always said that Freddy vs. Jason is way more of a Nightmare on Elm Street film than a Jason film, which is fine, so it definitely belongs on this tier maker list. So let's start with the first film. I do like the first film a lot. I love the first film. I don't love all these movies, but I do love most of them. But with that said, I think the first movie it's not dreamy, but it's definitely good. I'm going to put it there. And the reason it's not dreamy is because there's other films in the series that I consider dreamy that the first film doesn't stack up against. That's why it's in good and not dreamy, if you follow what I'm saying. Good cast, good storyline, and obviously it introduced the world of Freddy Krueger and that whole story of Springwood, Ohio, and all that stuff. Groundbreaking film for all intents and purposes, but it definitely belongs in good, respectively. Part 2 also belongs in good. I love Part 2. I think I like Part 2 way better than Part 1. Jessie's a great final girl, as it were. The scariest version of Freddy Krueger to date. Great storyline, really good effects, really crazy final location. That giant boiler room place is amazing. I can't say enough good things about, plus Clue Gallagher. I can't say enough good things about Part 2, but it definitely belongs in good considering the dreamy films I have in this list. So moving on to Part 3, which is my favorite of the franchise, so obviously you know it's going to go in dreamy. Special effects are great, the acting is great, the storyline is fantastic, the pacing's fantastic, really good original concepts and ideas. I can't say enough good things about this movie. I think it's the quintessential Freddy Krueger movie. And with that said, let's move on to Part 4, which is also dreamy. I think everything I said about Part 3 applies to Part 4. Not as much, but the argument could be made that Part 4 is way more fun than Part 3, which I could agree with. I like Part 3 better, but Part 4 might be more fun. It's definitely the MTV music video entry in the franchise, and I love every single second of the Dream Master, which is Part 4. Moving on to Part 5, which I would put in the good category. It's unfortunate because there's sort of that sub-trilogy between 3, 4, and 5. I would like to have put it in dreamy, but I think good works because it's on par with Part 1 or 2. Probably not as good as Part 2 for me. Better than Part 1 for sure. But it's not dreamy status, but it's almost there. It's almost there. But it does have the best final girl, which is Alice, the best version of Alice, because she was in Part 4 too, but she really kicks ass in Part 5. But it's just the movie is good. It's not dreamy, but it's good. Next on the list is Freddy's Dead. Which I am not a huge fan of it. It's watchable. It's okay. Which I guess it belongs in. No, I'm going to say... where to put Freddy's Dead? Because I really... Yes, baby.
I want to sit here.
Okay. She's going to sit in the middle of the chair. Okay, good?
Yeah.
So I would say that it really belongs to... Actually, maybe that might not work, Goober. Hey, I gotta be in front of my microphone, okay? So you gotta sit here for a minute. Sorry, Monkey. I'll put you in the middle in a second. Technical difficulties. I'm gonna say... I think Freddy's Dead is worth the watch. It's watchable and okay, but I'm gonna put it watchable okay. It's not blah blah. I would put it here if I was really being critical. I do think I think it's more blah than watchable, but it is watchable. It's an okay film. So with that said, I have to put it in watchable. It's just the way it is. I want to put it in blah, but my better judgment says to put it in watchable okay. Because it's it's a very vanilla Nightmare on Elm Street movie, But let's move on to New Nightmare, which is going absolutely in dreamy. Are you kidding me? Great storyline. Meta slasher film. Meta before Scream was, on the scene with meta. Obviously, Jason Lives did it first. But this is meta in the movie within a movie way, and it's fantastic. Special effects are great. The storyline's great. The actors of the films did a good job playing themselves. Heather Langenkamp's in top form. The new Nightmare version of Freddy, the real-world Freddy, is fantastic. My favorite version of the character. Not the scariest. That belongs to part 2. But my favorite version of the character. And yeah, so let's move on to Freddy vs. Jason, which I'm going to put in good. I think it's on par with these other films. Great storyline. Robert Englund is back in great form as Freddy. Ken Kersinger is passable as Jason. Storyline's good. It's the best we really could have hoped for as far as these crossover events happening after so long of it, attempting to be made. We're lucky we even got this film. I still can't believe here we are 20 years later and we actually have Freddy vs. Jason. Like, that blows my mind that we even got this movie. I love that movie, but it definitely belongs in good and not dreamy for a lot of reasons. And last but not least, well, definitely certainly least, is the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, which I want to put in a horrible nightmare worst. But it's definitely a watchable film, but it doesn't belong here. It belongs in blah. Because as far as vanilla movies go, the Nightmare on Elm Street remake is so vanilla, it kills me. Like I said, I want to put it in Horrible Nightmare. I want to put it there. But it's not the most horrible thing I've ever seen. It's definitely a watchable film, and a lot of people love it, which is fine. But I think with that said, it belongs in blah, because to me, it's absolutely blah. And yeah, there it is. There's my movies ranked. So with that said, let me change this top category to best. I can't spell here. Best to least. And let's put them in my order. So the worst is Nightmare on Elm Street. Obviously, then Freddy's Dead is next. Then I'm going to go with the first movie. I know it's going to make a lot of people angry. There, fix that. Freddy vs. Jason is better than the first movie. My favorite movie of all of them is Part 3. Second is 4. That one's next. Then Part 2 for sure. Then Part 5. I think this probably makes sense. I could probably swap 5 with Freddy vs. Jason back and forth depending on the day, but right now this feels good. So best 3, followed by 4, New Nightmare, 2, 5, FVJ, the original, Freddy's Dead, and the remake. With the remake being the least best, or my most least enjoyed version or film in the series, and Dream Warriors being the best. And there you have it. So, with all that said, that's my ranking of the series. Monkey, let's say bye to everybody. Say bye. Say Happy Freddy Krueger Day.
Hey, happy Krueger Bloopers. Krueger Day.
Say you got it, dude. She's not gonna say it.